Nakia.
And Janice.
We apologize. I know this video has been anticipated by our followers, so we thank you guys for being patient with us. We had unexpected mommy life things. Our little ones got sick, so we were kind of out of commission for a week, nursing them back to health.
The real stuff. My baby got sick. She had the fever. She had an ear infection.
Yes, and my baby got sick, and he had a fever, and so he had a cold and the sniffles, runny nose. So.
But
we're back.
Yeah, we're back. So we want to continue this week with what we were working on. Our last video, we were showing you how to source fabric, and we were sourcing fabric for this cardigan that we're going to make. The simplicity. So that is what we did in our last video, and as promised, we were going to show you guys the steps on how to make it. So.
Yes, and just full disclaimer, because we keep it real here on So Mommies, I did order our fabric that we chose, and I know you guys are probably wondering which one we picked. We did order it. However, my saved address on fabric.com was actually my old address in Virginia Beach, so they sent it to the wrong place. So I'm waiting for it to come in. I'm just as anxious to get my hands on this fabric and show it to you guys. But today we're going to do a muslin mock of
and we have the muslin
cardigan
here.
All right.
So we're gonna do a prototype.
Yep.
We're gonna make a prototype, and that way you guys can see. And then the next time we'll show you like how it actually looks with the fabric.
And so we have our pattern here that we are going to cut out first, and then we are going to show you the pieces that we'll need once we've cut them out, and then we'll go from there. So
we're actually going to do a size large on this.
Yes.
So yeah, stay tuned. So we're back. We have cut out the pattern pieces. So we cut out all of the pattern pieces. We have here the front, we have the back, we have the sleeve, we have the front facing that goes along the inside of the cardigan. We have the front armhole facing, and then we have the back facing. So now that we've cut it all out in the tissue paper, we're going to cut it out in the muslin, and then we're going to sew it up and post it in.
All right.
Back, Nakia is taking a So Mommy break, feeding her son Noble. So what I am doing right now, I am cutting out the pattern for the back. So I have the back piece right here of the cardigan. And what I did, I like working in blocks when I cut my stuff. So I just cut me a block of fabric. It's probably about a yard, maybe about a yard and a quarter. And then I have the front facing, and then I have the back facing around the neck. So the back facing around the neck, and then the back piece is going to be cut in the fold, because there's not going to be a seam. Like how do I have a seam in the back? No. So there's not going to be a seam in the back of the cardigan. However, the front, of course, naturally is going to open. So the front facing that's going to go to the front of the cardigan is not on the fold. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pin this towards the fold, on the fold, and then I'm going to pin the little back facing on the fold, and then cut around it. And I'll show you from there. And I just have my little pins here that I'm going to use to pin it in place.
Alright guys, we just put one of the little ones down. Still trying to put another one down. It takes us a lot longer to do things because we've got to stop and feed the babies and make sure that they're not attacking each other, climbing all over each other. But we did manage to get all of the pieces cut out. So we've got all of our pieces, and now we are going to either sew or serge. We haven't quite decided yet, but we're gonna do one or the other. I like serging. It's a lot easier, and it's great for ready to wear stuff. But sewing works. Either one is a great effective way to assemble this cardigan. So
okay guys, so we are back. We have all of our pieces cut out, and we're decided we're just going to go ahead and sew it up because it's just our prototype. It's a muslin. We're not really going to wear it. It's just for fitting purposes and make sure it fits and that we like the length.
The pattern works and everything.
Yeah, so once we get our fashion fabric, the fabric that we ordered, then we'll serge and everything for more longevity so that it doesn't, tear or shred and anything like during the when you wear it and everything. So now this is the back piece. Let's see if you can. So this is the back to our cardigan. Okay, as you see, this is the neck, and then we have the armholes. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do what is called like a stay stitch or a basting stitch around the neck and the arm because they're cut on the curve to stretch out during the sewing process. So that kind of holds it in place so that it doesn't lose its shape. So I'm gonna set my machine at a stitch number 4, which is like the widest stitch because it's just a simple basting stitch. And all right, so I'm going to drop my needle down. I just love sewing. It's so nice. And me and Nakia were just talking about the process of completing a project. It's so satisfying to be able to start a project and complete it. It takes work, a lot of mental work, because half of the time once you're done cutting it out, you're just like, all right, I can see what it looks like now. I'm done. But to keep going and to finish it with the same enthusiasm that you had when you first seen it, with the same level of professionalism, is a skill. So
it definitely is.
So go around this curve. And again, this is just a basting stitch so that my neckline doesn't stretch out because it's cut on the curve.
And the same thing with the arm. She's going to base really any curved surface that you might have on a garment. You're going to want to do that stay stitch. Just so, again, you're going to be pulling the fabric, tugging it when you're sewing it to other pieces, and you don't want that to stretch out. And then even with wear and stuff like that, you're going to want it to be maintain its structure for longevity purposes. So.
And you don't have to backpack when you're doing this. It's just a stitch.
So you can hear my little one in the background. He did not go down for a nap.
He did at first, but Zahara woke him up.
And then now he's just up in the first.
And Zahara's.
And Zahara sleeps.
So, mommy. Okay, so this is the armhole. You see?
Yeah.
This is going to be so cute.
I'm excited. I'm really excited for the actual pattern that we picked out, the print that we picked out for that to come in. I can't wait for y'all to see it, but I'm excited.
So, mommy, it's lit.
It's lit. And y'all, don't mind me. I'm still in proximity. I'm just going out of frame every now and then because I want to make sure that the camera is, there you go. You can see that.
Is it focus? There you go. So you can see the stitch. And I didn't back tack. I just started, from the top and went around. And this is about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, and so that's the back. And now I'm going to do the front pieces. Yeah, this is the fun part. Like cutting, the cutting is just like, oh my God, especially when you got to cut the pattern too. So that's what we had to do. We had to cut our pattern out. And that's why going forward, we're going to show you how to have your own slopers.
Yes.
Because once you have like your base things, the patterns, and you can just, you're still going to have to cut like the fabric and stuff, but cutting them paper patterns out, that's the most time. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing as far as basting for the front. And then we're like good to go to put this bad boy together. You know?
Yep, and this is a super, super simple pattern. As we progress, we're gonna get into more little more intricate things that might be a little bit more, you know, intermediate to advanced. So you can see that's the front side of the cardigan. So we're gonna, you know, we're gonna progress with you all, but this is a very basic, very like beginner pattern. So it's not gonna take long to assemble. I mean, I think the most time-consuming part of it will be the cutting out of the pattern.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of straight lines.
Yeah.
As far as sewing.
Is it just the neck or the arm on that too?
This one is just the arm because the neck is,
Oh,
I mean,
gotcha.
there is like, it's like the,
It's not curved.
yeah, the neckline is not curved.
That's my boogie. So give me a second, if you will.
Zahara just woke up.
Ahead and Janice sewed the arm side or the armhole of both the front and the back, and then also the neck, the curved neckline on the back. So again, you're gonna want to stay stitch those areas because when you are assembling the garment, you're gonna do some pulling and tugging, especially with knit or any type of any type of stretch fabric. You definitely want to make sure that you stabilize the fabric with that stay stitch, so that the garment and the neckline and everything doesn't stretch. All right. Say hi. Mwah. All right, and now we're gonna sew.
Yep, we're at that point,
All
y'all.
right, now we're gonna sew mommies. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna sew the front facing to the front half. So you see the long piece that we cut out. It actually mimics the front curve line of the front of the cardigan, the opening, and then we're gonna press it open and it's gonna fold back. So it just gives it a nice clean like look. And you know, don't mind my hair, it's a little wild. It has a mind of its own. But and again, we are doing 5/8 seam allowance.
Yes.
So, and that's as per what the pattern calls for. Now, with this, you will want to back tack. And I mean, it really is like Janice said earlier. This with cutting this pattern, it's just like a lot of straight lines. It's not really an intricate design. It's gonna have you doing a whole bunch of crazy things with the sewing. So really, 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 if you're new to sewing, this would be a great pattern to start with. Now, I'll be honest, for me, sometimes the patterns that I'm normally at the point now, just because of my educational background, and Janice is probably can say the same, that I make my own patterns. I might use a sloper or I might drape it on a dress form, but that way I know exactly like how it's supposed to be. So sometimes, like what Janice and I did, which we did not record us doing, but what we did with this pattern is we studied it. So we looked at the pattern prior to cutting out the pieces. We determined what pieces we needed. We read through kind of like the instructions that Simplicity had for sewing. As you can see, we're not following step by step because, you know, a lot of times we can see how a garment's supposed to turn out and we can determine how it needs to be sewn. But that just comes from our educational background, I think. What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm all for making our own patterns because going over someone else's work is just even more work.
Yeah.
But, you know, and for purposes like this, you know, this is cool, easy cardigan, 1, 2, 3. So, absolutely.
And one thing that we didn't point out, which I do want to highlight here, like on Simplicity, just so you all know, we didn't notch, but on some of the patterns you'll notice like these little V's. Those are places that you notch. You'll cut a little slit within that little triangle, so you know where to match it up on another piece that it gets sewn to, just to make sure that everything matches up evenly. I do it sometimes if it's a more like complicated pattern, but if it's something simple like this, everything's really gonna fit in its place with a pattern like this. So we didn't do it with this one, but if, like, again, if you're new to sewing, I would definitely encourage clipping those notches so you know what pieces line up with what pieces. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm taking forever because I'm talking.
No, you're good. I'm so excited. Because it's gonna be really nice.
It's gonna be really, really nice. I cannot wait to get my hands on this fabric. You guys just don't understand. Fabric is what inspires me. Like, I can see a pattern, I can see a drawing, but until I see the fabric, that's almost like the paint. When you think of like a canvas, the fabric is like the paint for me. It's like, that's when real things really start to like come to life for me, is when you see that fabric and you allow it to kind of speak to you. All right, so as you can see, sewed right down the middle, not the middle, but sewed right down that seam right there. So we sewed it straight on down. There's just a slight little curve on the front, but again, nothing crazy, mainly straight line. And so what we're going to end up doing with this piece is we're going to press it open. When we do press it open, we're going to fold, like we're literally going to press it open, press that, you can't see it, but the seam, we're going to press that seam open so that it lays, let me get a little closer here. Going to press that seam there open. That's okay.
Let's see.
There we go.
Let's focus.
Yeah, you can press that seam, and then it's going to lay flat. Alright, so we're back with both front pieces. We have not pressed, we haven't pressed the facing back yet, but when we do, it's going to fold right on in like that, and so you'll see the front is going to be like that, and then the side, when it's pressed in, will be the same. So we've got almost all of it. We've got a good chunk of it done. So this is pretty much half.
I mean, it's basically done to me.
After this, we don't have to sew the back. The back is all one piece, as you saw Janice cut that on the fold. So that opens up. It's all one piece. We don't have to cut, like, sew down the seam or anything like that. So next, what we actually need to do is sew the facings and the sleeve. So we have the armhole facings and the back facing. So those are the ones that we have to sew. And you know what? I honestly don't know if we needed the armhole facings because we're doing the sleeves.
Oh yeah, so we don't need those anymore.
So we did a little extra cutting, and I just realized that I was like, in my mind, I was trying to visualize where the facings go with the sleeves. So we did an extra step. We cut facings for the sleeves. But if we were doing a sleeveless cardigan, that is when we would have used this facing so that it has a clean finished edge. But we're not. So we have extra pieces. So yeah, we're like really, really, really almost done. All we gotta do is sew the sleeve and sew the back facing. And then we're done. That's crazy. And then we're done. All right?
All right, guys, so what I am doing while Nakia is pressing the seams of the back and the front facings and shoulders, I am going to, sorry, I think it's a hard one to the round. I'm going to sew the sleeves together. So this is a sleeve.
This girl is sleeping.
So this is the sleeve, and I'm going to sew the side seams of the sleeve together to create the arm. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and we're sewing at 5/8. So yeah, we were just sitting here talking like how real it is. Trying to sew and have
Make sure the
babies
kids are right, and it's a lot. So for all of you moms out here who are like, I want to pick up sewing for a hobby, definitely do it. It's like, I love sewing. It's awesome. It's amazing. Definitely a great skill to have, to be able to make your own garments,
Brian.
sew stuff. However, trying to juggle mommy tasks as well as completing a project can become challenging at times. So just be prepared. You'll see me, I'm over here ironing, so just bear with me if you see a random hand or some fabric flopping into the frame. But yeah, so that's probably the biggest thing for us is like, I'm so glad and grateful for my oldest son. He's here helping out, keeping an eye on the little ones, but they're into everything.
Everything.
As they are, as they're going to be their babies. So it's just
They're curious and they're exploring the environment around them. So, you're going to get that. But,
it's definitely a difference from being in school.
yes. At school, we could focus. We could just go in, put our little earbuds in, hone in, play some music, be there until the crows come a crowing. But not like that anymore. Gotta wait till the babies are either down or have, help. So keep an eye on them while we're doing some things. So,
Yeah.
but you definitely have to make time for things that you love to do, which is what we are doing. And
Want to encourage you guys to do.
yes, definitely. I have a little one over here. Take him away.
That's so good that you noticed that, Brian, because the horror will definitely start literally running, crawling as soon as she see me getting closer.
Speed running. No, speed crawling.
Speed crawling. Yep.
Yeah, speed crawl.
When he's crawling, he's like just taking his time, and then when you roll the thing, all you hear is his little knees and hands going pow, 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 pow.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, he's at his destination already.
So you all, my son has been wanting to make his cameo since his brother and Zahara have had their cameos today. I saw him sneak into one of our frames with a little bear, but he can officially come and have his little cameo.
Yeah, boy.
Oh no,
You're not in the camera yet.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, all right. There you go. There you have it.
I want to help.
Okay, Brian, we about to move on.
Come on.
Now you gotta get Zahara.
Oh.
Okay, so this is our little sleeve.
Ooh.
Yeah, girl. Boom. Okay.
So while that one, I guess
So she's gonna press this.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to attach it. Okay, so as
I
you
didn't
see,
do the. Where's the back one? I forgot the.
oh, okay,
Let me do that one real quick.
right here. So she has already. This is what Nakia just did. She pressed open. This is the facing, the little long piece that goes to the front. So now when we wear it, the cardigan like this, it has a nice clean edge right here. And sometimes I don't know if you remember, Nakia, I had made a coat. It was navy, and then on my facings I had like a little pop of color. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes with your facing, like you
love
can be a little
that.
fun with it, and you can have like a pop of color. And we have to post that picture so they can see, like I have like a little strip of blue on my face, and it was really, really pretty.
Yeah, I love that. I love doing anything that's like a contrast or an unexpected surprise within a garment. Like, people would not have been expecting that pop of color, but you know, she did it and it works.
Yeah.
So the curves are always the hardest thing.
Yeah,
to press.
and see what makes it easier with the curves is the little ham.
Yeah.
Different tools and stuff that makes your pressing a lot more easier to get around those curves, but we make it work.
Yes. Press the seams for the sleeves while Janice tries to do attaching the front pieces to the back. We've got little person over here playing with something.
Ryan, your brother.
I thought you were drinking your milk.
Oh, he's over here not drinking his milk.
No.
Brian, I need you to get Sahara.
Alright.
Like now.
Okay. See you with that, huh?
She's about to be in the same situation Nova was about 2.5 minutes ago.
Really?
So you guys really should have seen this hilarious scene. I'm in the process of trying to rethread my serger. That we had to, we were going to serge it to show you that, but we'll actually serge the actual garment, not the muslin, the mock one. But we're going to serge that so you can see the two different methods of assembling this cardigan. But anyway, if you've ever threaded a serger, you know how frustrating that process can be. So anyway, I said, you know what, to save time, we're just gonna do this. I'm gonna serge it at a later time. And my little one got a hold of the thread for the serger and decided to tangle his little cell phone up.
Get her no. I mean,
Okay.
so
We've got sleeves.
we got sleep.
We got sleeves.
Okay.
Nice. They're nice and long.
Yes, girl. Woo! We getting there. We getting there.
Are you serious?
Okay.
We have fun too as a mommy. So it's all fun actually.
Because it's what we enjoy doing, you know, and you want to do something that you enjoy. Like, I can sew all the time.
All
the
day.
time.
I literally could sew all day, every day.
Now it's just about finding balance. Like, you know, we both work full time. We both are mothers. So it's just now about just managing our time. But we appreciate the time that we are able to do stuff like this and use our gifts.
Yeah.
How amazing is our babies can watch this, you know?
Yeah, I know. Although they're not really paying that much attention to us now, I think it's so cute how they always want to come and crawl into the work area. So
Yeah,
they're always
see.
over here. They keep Brian running for sure.
Don't even think about it, Sahara. No, you little slippers. They already found anything about it.
So now Janice is sewing the front and back of the cardigan at the shoulder seams. And then once that's done, really all we have to do is, I'm sorry, now I'm like, we're in the way. Once that's done, all we really have to do is sew the sleeves.
And so the side seam.
Yep.
So, girl.
Well, the side seam is going to be sewn first, and then
Yeah.
the side seam is going to be sewn first. Then we're going to sew the sleeves. So the sleeves is the last.
Coming together.
Oh yes! I can't wait to see this in the actual fabric. It's going to be so cute. So we got one more side to go. We'll sew the side seams, and then the last thing is going to be the last thing is going to be the sleeves, which I'm gonna let Janice do because I hate sleeves.
Sure.
Look, I know where my strengths are, and that is not one of them.
See, with the sleeves, it's all about, you know, what is the word I'm looking for? just basically, you gotta work it in.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, maybe like a 2.5 width between the underarms. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so with the sleeve, right? So from like, this is the underarm seam. So from like here to here, that's where you want it to be like taut. You don't really want any gatherings or anything. It really needs to fit, right? And so then you would want to match up your top notch, which we don't have. But you would have a center notch on your sleeve and on your garment. And so you would match that up. And then everything else, you kind of got to maneuver it in and like work it in.
Yep.
You don't want any buckles. You don't want any, like it should just
Shouldn't
set
pucker
in.
or
It shouldn't
anything like
pucker.
that.
But it's all about how you fold it. And I will show you like when you go to pinning it. Now, when you're sewing it, it may look a little like, oh, this is going to, but I think I do pretty good. But it's all about how you working it, going around the curve and pinning it.
Yep.
But just make sure, like from under here, it should fit taut, and then it should match up at the top notch. So, but once you get them, you know, trust me, I've had my share of sleeves though, where I was like, oh, I'm good.
Okay, you're good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Like me, I will pin all the way into the last little bitty inch if you need me to.
Yeah, I know.
But so and what you'll learn with me and Janice is that although we both have the same technical background, we went to the same school, we studied under the same teachers. You're gonna learn what works for you. You're gonna learn how you sew best. Like, she can space her pins out and sew a straight line and be good. Like, I'm going to put pins all the way down to the end, like maybe an inch apart, all the way down to the end, and I'm just gonna take them off as I go. But that's just what works for me, so that I feel comfortable knowing that I'm gonna make sure that my seams are lined up, my edges are lined up, my seam is straight, and all that jazz. So the more you sew, the more you get into a groove with things, you're gonna find out what works for you. And some of the tips and tricks and stuff that we might, share with you on our channel, you may use, you may not. You may start by using it, and then you might find another trick or tip that works better for you. So we're just, maybe some things, Janice's way of doing it is going to work a lot more easier for you, and you're going to understand it better, or vice versa. So, just pick up on what works best for you and how you feel comfortable.
That's beautiful.
So right now she's sewing the side seams. Then we're going to sew the other front half and sew that side seam together. And then lastly, the sleeves. And Janice is going to work out that for you. Because, again, know your areas of strength and your areas of opportunity. And I've sewn plenty of sleeves, but it just gives me a headache when I do it. So we don't want any headaches tonight.
And then we're going to press this bad boy and put it on, girl.
Hey.
And it's going to be nice.
And then next episode, next video that we're posting.
Oh, this is great. So, our bobbin just went out.
Oh, bobbin! We're going to have to reload a bobbin. So...
Oh, but I got back up on this one. I had white under the red.
Oh, okay.
But still, like, that happens. Like, you can be working through, this is a good sidebar. So, you could be working through your bobbin. You could be working through your project, and then all of a sudden you're just sewing, girl, I'm about to finish. And then you pick up your, like, I got to the end of the side seam, and I'm noticing there's holes, but there's no thread. Because my bobbin, the red that I had, I ran out of it. So now I have to reload it. But at least I have this white under it, so I don't have to wind it up at the top. So a good rule of thumb is know what you're working on, right? See, I just went with the whim, like, oh, I had some thread up here. But from the beginning, you want to know, like, okay, this is, I think, like, you can sew, like, a full suit, a woman's suit with one full bobbin, right? So that's kind of like a good measurement to know how much you're going to need up there. Okay, so I'm doing this cardigan. It was maybe like 3 yards. It's pretty much straight seams. So I'm going to want to have enough, thread up there so that I don't run out, because time. And when you're doing orders and you're doing collections and stuff, it's all on time.
Yep.
So you don't have time to have to keep stopping or whatever. Or you can do like sometimes you can have some bobbins prepared.
Yes, so
at
that's
the
what I was
beginning.
saying.
Mhm.
That's what I do. If I know that I'm gonna, because when I get in a groove, let me tell you something. When I run out of a bobbin thread, it just throws my whole groove off. And I'm like, oh my gosh! Especially when you think that you're like she said, you're almost to the end and you've been sewing. You're like,
Somebody's gonna.
And then you think that you're almost done, and you're not, because halfway up the sleeve, halfway up the sleeve, you ran out of bobbin thread, so you're no longer sewing anything. So I always, when I know that I like, sometimes to get in the mood of like sewing, like especially when it's like an order or something that you have to fulfill, you're like, all right, you got your mind straight, you got the kids down or whatever, you have the time and the space and the energy to do it, and you want to get started, wind you up an extra bobbin. Just go ahead, wind you up an extra bobbin or two, so that when that bobbin does run out, you don't have to take the time to wind it. You can just pop a new one in there and keep it moving. So good thing is, and always check your bobbin, because for me, sometimes I'll finish a project and I'll still have bobbin left over, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. I still got some, thread in that bobbin. And then I start a whole new project. Well, obviously I don't have enough thread in that bobbin to finish this new project because I used most of it on the previous project. So always check before you start your bobbin. Make sure you have enough thread on there. Wind you another one, and go from there. But so we're taking a little break to get the underlying fabric going, and then we'll be.
And this is another reason for the prototype. You know what I mean? Because now you know what you're working with. Ideally, you're not going to do a prototype like after we do this one. Then you just need to do it one time.
Right.
But this is another good thing for the prototype, because you can work through all of the kinks and stuff on something that isn't your fashion fabric, and it won't really cost you.
Yes. So I always encourage, if you have not worked with the pattern before, always do a muslin. Obviously sometimes time doesn't permit for you to do a muslin, and some people, if you're really, really advanced at sewing, they don't need to do it. They know how this fabric is going to work, how this thing is going to drape, how this pattern is going to work, and that's great. But I'm the type of person, even though I am technically trained and Janic'e is technically trained, I like to do a muslin because I want to work out all those kinks before I use the actual fabric.
Even professionals do muslin.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can really call yourself a professional if you don't, to be honest, because it's just science. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it makes sense. Like, you want to make sure, hey, mama. You want to make sure it works before you go all the way in. Now, going forward after here, you like, okay.
Yeah.
But anytime you make an adjustment, so like, let's say if now the next time you want to add like ruffles or something,
right?
Then that's something we gotta just it's experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
It's experimenting.
If you're ever gonna manipulate the pattern or change it, just a slight change. If you're like, oh, I'm just gonna change the hem, that might be a little different because But if you're doing anything like, oh, I'm gonna add a pleat in the back of this cardigan, or oh, I'm gonna do this, that, and the third. You're gonna want to do a mock-up. You're gonna want to use muslin because you don't want fabric. Like if you purchase fabric, muslin is relatively inexpensive, which is why people use it to do their mock-ups. When you go and you purchase your fabric, those fabrics can be expensive. So you don't want to start working with your fashion fabric or your garment fabric, and then you run into problems, and then you didn't purchase enough fabric, or the fabric gets problems happen with the fabric, and then you don't have enough to complete the garment or what have you. So muslin, do your muslin, and you'll thank us later. For sure.
So we got this sewn together. You want to kind of put it on, Nakia?
Yeah. So if we had decided to make this a sleeveless cardigan, we would have used the facings that we cut out earlier that we didn't really need. And that would have gone on the armhole. We would have had armhole facings.
And we gotta show you this. This is so nice. And this is a large. Like, so some people that like their stuff oversized, like even Nakia could pull this off. Mm-hmm. Maybe the sleeves, of course, probably are gonna be big on her. But I'm just saying, like, It's so universal.
I love it.
Yeah, this is a
I
good
love
staple
cardigans.
piece to have in your wardrobe.
Nice.
All right.
Right.
So let's see. You want to do? Okay, you want to hold some hot? No,
Yeah.
Order.
Hi, boo. Switch. Slow
And it's since the cardigan without the sleeves. So as Janic'e was saying, some people like to do it as a vest. All right, so yeah, this is the cardigan, very chic, very cute, you know. So, and like I said, we have the nice, clean edge here, which is the facing. And like I said, sometimes you could do like a little pop of color if you wanted to. So we're going to put the sleeves on and go from there.
Okay, so right now, as you can see, Janice is gonna be like easing and this sleeve.
No, Brian, can you get this shoe?
Nope.
Okay, so I did the side seam. This is the side seam of the garment. No, this is the side seam of the sleeve. This is the underseam of the sleeve, and this is the side seam of the garment right here. So, as I said, from underneath, you want to make sure it fits perfectly. Everything else you're going to try to ease in.
I know you're obsessed with this, but no.
And then you want to match up your top.
No. We've got babies in the work area.
Okay. So now what I want to do, I need to fit this in. And for the most part, it fits. It's just the way the curve of the sleeve is in relation to the circle or the curve of the armhole. So if you were to do directly, you would think, oh, it fits. But okay, you would see that there's a little bubble that you got to make fit. So let me come.
I cleaned everything up right now. You will wait. You trying to hide, eh? What?
So how you would make this fit?
No, Opal. No.
No, sir.
No.
She's trying to mess the whole place up
Okay.
again, Mommy.
Ew. You know.
So what I do is I just like turn it as if it is a curve of as if it is like curving over your arm or your shoulder, and that helps me make it fit. And then I can show you like when it comes to sewing, because sometimes when it comes to sewing, I still have to, and see, I kind of like move it, like pull it to get it to fit.
Yeah. Just squeezing it in.
Who I heard is that, Mommy?
It just takes a lot of maneuvering, that's all. It's nothing really that special. And then even on the machine, sometimes it's a certain way that you can kind of pull your fabric to make sure that it fits. So then I'm going to do the same thing on this side and we'll sew it together. Here we have the sleeve on.
Yep.
We just got to do the other side.
Yep.
We'll be good to go. We're going to do a final press and go from there.
Yes, looking good. Ah.